Hey, Orchinistas, welcome to the channel Forever Orchids. My name is Tracy. Well, got a confession to make. The last video that I did that was a haul, I said that was the last one of 2023. Well, maybe this will be the very last haul of 2023. Let me show you what I've got. These orchids came from different places. They came from local hardware store. They came from Sunset Valley Orchids when I went to a local orchid society and Fred Clark was in town. And let's see, friends giving me orchids. And then I did go to a greenhouse when I was on vacation and got one from there. So let's get started on hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, hopefully the very last orchid haul of 2023. You ready? Let's get started. Let's get started with what I got from Sunset Valley Orchids. So I reached out to Fred Clark knowing that he was coming in town and asked him about a couple of plants. He didn't have everything in stock that I wanted, but I ended up getting these two plants. I wanted to try my hand at a Cattleya walkeriana. It's a species, and let me tell you what I got as I ripped one of the roots off. At least it was a dead root off the tag that was stuck to the tag. Okay, this is Cattleya walkeriana top chair crossed with Cattleya walkeriana, the chairman. The chairman has an award of merit by the American Orchid Society. Now, from what I understand from his website, I do believe that both of these walkerianas are 4N. What that simply means is tetraploid. That just simply means that instead of 2 chromosomes, they have 4. When you have that, you typically have thicker leaves. You typically have larger flowers on the plant, but you can also have a slower growing plant. So time will tell. But here's my walkeriana. Take that tag back out because I want you to see. Look at these bulbs. Look how thick they are. Don't they just look phenomenal? Look at those. I think they look great. Great, great, great. So we'll keep an eye on this one here. The only thing I really know about walkerianas, a lot of times to get them to bloom, they need total darkness at night. No, if your neighbor's got a light in their yard or you've got a street lamp shining into the windows, that can affect your blooms of your walkeriana, whether they're in a greenhouse or whether or not they're outside or if they're indoors. Mine is growing under light, so it is total darkness when the lights shut off in the little space that they're growing in. This is still going to be a while to bloom. I got a couple years probably before this will bloom. The next plant that I got, this is a BC Gulf Shores Beauty Green Dean. This is 4N, and it has an award of an HCC from the American Orchid Society. Now that is crossed with an Epicattleya lime sherbet, which is also a 4N. So there again, this plant should be thicker leaves than a normal Cattleya. It should also have larger flowers. And as always, I will put up what the flowers potentially could look like. At Sunset Valley Orchids, you are getting seedlings. So that simply means that each flower that blooms, each plant has different genetics, just like we do, and we all look different. So therefore, the flowers can look different. You don't look like your brother, you don't look like your sister, that kind of thing. So the same in the plants, the same thing. The flowers can be different. Sometimes you might have a pink flower, and its sibling might be white. So that's kind of what that would mean instead of a mericlone. Now, a mericlone means here's what you got. It's an identical twin, and it's multiple identical. And if you see a picture of the flower, that's what it's going to look like. Okay, now, the next ones that I got is I have been wanting this plant for a really, really long time. It's Cattleya Dinard Blue Heaven is the cultivar name. It's a blue large Cattleya. And I have multiples of this plant. Each one I seem to get, the plants just don't look good. I'm really feeling like it's just the habit of the actual plant itself. The only one that I have that really looks good is a seedling I got for Mother's Day in a little 2-inch pot from Akasuko, and it looks really, really good. Now, with that in mind, one plant and a little 2-inch pot. It's going to take a long time for it to grow and to bloom. When I was at my local hardware store and happened to find some bag babies and looked at the label, and I was like, are you kidding me? They have it. LC Dinard Blue Heaven. So I bought 3 of them. All three. They had some new growth on them. So I thought, okay, that looks really good. Let's see here. This plant here, we have new growth, roots growing out of the pot, but I have a new root growing right down there. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? Now, I will tell you something I'm learning about some of these better grow is they are planted in bark, perlite, and then the bottom is filled with styrofoam. Does not retain water. Keep that in mind sometimes when you buy bag babies, that you need to stay on top of your watering if you're going to keep them in the 4-inch pot that they're in, because it's not time to repot them. Sometimes they don't need to be repotted because it's a smaller plant in the pot and you've got a couple more years of growth. But given that not all these bag babies that I have found are planted that way, but the last ones that I've gotten here lately, they were in styrofoam. I had one plant last night to fall over, totally different, not Dinard Blue Heaven, fell over, and that's how I found out that they had styrofoam on the bottom. You can also just turn them over and look at the bottom of that pot right there. You see all that white at the holes? This has got blocks of styrofoam in the bottom. So, whoops, alrighty. And this plant here, the second one, new growth right here. Yeah, new growth right here. So when I saw the new growth on the plants, I thought, okay, maybe we've got a chance. These are definitely bigger than the 2-inch pot that I have as far as the plant itself. Now, today, I go to water these, and this one just literally falls out of the pot. Another reason why I found out there was styrofoam in the bottom. This is the new growth on this plant, and I was like, oh no, there's hardly any roots on it. So I have soaked this in water today and in sea kelp extract, hoping that I can get some new growth, especially roots, of course, off of this pseudobulb right here. One of the things I did notice was there is a root coming out right here that has a little green root tip on it. Let's see if we can get in there and you can see that. Can you see that little tiny little root tip growing? So I don't know, maybe this pseudobulb here is starting to push out some new growth. I'm going to keep my eye on it. In another video, the next one that I publish, we're going to repot this, and I've got one more Dinard Blue Heaven that I had bought earlier in the year that I don't think is doing well. It also has styrofoam in the bottom, and we're going to repot those together. So stay tuned for that video, and we'll talk about this plant more in depth and how I'm going to repot those. Okay, so that was the local hardware store, and then Sunset Valley Orchids. And then I was telling a friend of mine, one of the places that I volunteer at, and the video that I published right before this one, a Just Blooming Orchid video, it had a bulbophyllum, Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, which has an FCC from the American Orchid Society. This plant, holy moly, I am not kidding. I can barely see what it's planted in. I think it is in maybe a 6-inch slatted basket or maybe smaller. And the plant has just gone crazy. No lie. It must be 2 feet wide. It has to be. And in that video, I show you the best I can of all the blooms that are on this bulbophyllum. This thing is gorgeous. So I was telling a friend of mine that I really think the plant needs dividing, but they don't want to divide it right now. We'll wait till in the spring and we'll divide it. So I was telling her about it, and she said, don't worry about it. She said, I got plenty of them. I'll just give you one. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So Tammy, if you're ever watching this video, thanks a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So here it is that she gave me, just like this. And she said, yeah, I got it from another member of the Orchid Society, and I just haven't done anything with it. Yeah. So from what I can tell, it looks like there's very little sphagnum moss in the bottom. Just happens to be a little piece of lava rock. I don't think that really was down in there. I mean, that it's potted in that. I could have just easily just picked up a piece and threw down in there. But anyway, I think the bulbs in my environment so far are shrinking a little bit. I'm not really happy with that. Bulbophyllum's like an awful lot of humidity, and I'm having trouble in this growing space with 3 humidifiers to keep the humidity at a constant level. I've got doors that go out to the garage. We've got 2, 3 windows in here, plus a fireplace. I've got the damper closed as far as I can on the fireplace, and I just feel like, and I don't run the fireplace, but I just feel like those are the points of exit and entry for the humidity. So if it's raining outside, it's a little bit more humid in this room. If it's not and it's very dry, then it's going to be really low. I've had it as low as 15, and that is not good in this environment. So I'm having trouble with this bulbophyllum right now. So I do want to figure out a way to get it off of this plastic pot. It has started attaching here on this plastic pot with its new roots. It does have new root tips. So right now I'm misting it. And I'm going to try to start doing that every day until I figure out how I want to repot this and what I want to pot it in. So that can be another video at another day. But this is Bulbophyllum Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry with an FCC from the American Orchid Society. So I really, really, really want to get this one growing the way it should and blooming. It has, let me see if this division has bloomed before. Yeah, there's a bloom spike right there. So this division has bloomed before multiple times. So I just want to get this one growing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, the last one that I have in this very last haul of 2023 is going to be another bulbophyllum. I went to an orchid greenhouse. We were headed on vacation, and I got this from a place called Appalachian Tropicals in Asheville, North Carolina. And we were running through Asheville on the way to our vacation location. And I stopped in to check them out. Very impressed with them. They had lots of genus of orchids. This plant, they had 2 of these plants, and one of them was in bloom. And I kept looking at it, and I kept picking it up. And then I was going around looking at other plants and just getting a feel and a scope for the vast number of genuses that they had. And in fact, when you walked in the door, they had 2 Vandas that were growing there. And I asked them how long had they had them, and they had been there for 50 years. 50 years. They were 7 feet tall. I didn't even remember seeing roots. It was just Vanda fans just on top of each other. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, so somebody else came into the greenhouse, and we're both walking through, and I kept going to this bulbophyllum, and then I go and I keep looking. Well, then I'm ready. I'm done, and I'm ready to make my purchase. That person bought the one in bloom. But I still got a great plant. Even though this one is not in bloom, this plant has more new growths than the other one. So I'm okay that I missed out on the blooms. At least I am for now. I got to get this one blooming. So let me show you some of the new growth on this. Let me tell you what it is. Okay. So this is a species bulbophyllum, and this is bulbophyllum let's see here. I'm going to mess it up just because I'm trying to say it. Mastersonium, Young's Adorable Gift, and it has an AM from the American Orchid Society. So I'll put up on the bottom of the screen here what the name of this plant is. And of course, I will always show you pictures. So I did take a picture of the other one that was in bloom. So we've got a picture that we can show you of what this looks like. But the new growth is one here. There's one down here, right in here, right in between these bulbs. Right there is another new growth. And let's see here. Then this bulb right here is pushing out this new growth here, as well as it really looks like it's got a second one that it is trying to push out. So this one just had the most potential of new growth. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if this one's got one. I think that's a root coming out. Oh, wait. Yeah, let's see here. There's a bloom spike where it has bloomed. And okay, so there is another 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It has potential 5 new growths on it. And I'm telling you, this plant is immaculate. It's just gorgeous. The leaves are clean, the bulbs are nice and fat, good root system on it. So I'm really excited to see what this one does. This one is also growing under lights alongside of the Elizabeth Ann here. They're both on a shelf under lights. And I've got one of the humidifiers pointed directly at that whole shelving unit. And so hopefully that shelf that these are on are getting the most humidity. I'm going to be getting some hygrometers that will give me the temperature of the room, as well as the high-low temperature, as well as the high-low humidity. So I've asked for some digital ones. Sometimes you just have to come up with Christmas ideas and not buy stuff yourself. So it's on my Christmas list for those, and get those in the room and in other growing spaces throughout the house, and really get a good handle on what the humidity is and what temperatures we're getting, and whether or not I need to tweak anything with my growing spaces. But that is the last haul of the very last haul. And there again, I'm pretty sure we'll keep our fingers crossed. That is the very last haul of 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you wish, please like and subscribe to the channel so you can keep coming along with my orchid growing journey here. I've added an awful lot of orchids to my collection this year. I went from about 20 that I had last year when we moved here, and I am well over 100. I'm bordering on 150. I haven't really counted. So I really did grow my collection this year, started the YouTube channel. I've been growing orchids for almost 30 years, and just come along with me, and hopefully I can share some of my knowledge from my growing experiences over the years with you. And until next time, happy orchid growing. Bye.